Are you ready, Steve?
Mhm.
And we're going to introduce them as the coaches of
Goldey Beacon,
for
Bethanne,
Bethann,
and Wilmington is Dan.
and you coach the men's, Dan,
I coach the men at Wilmington. Yep.
and you coach the women at Goldey Beacon. It's
Yep, at
Beacon,
Goldey beacom, yeah.
with an M on the end.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, you ready, Steve?
Mhm.
Here we are, live talking sports with another episode of Talking Sports with the Legend. Tonight's guests are Bethanne Burke and Dan Burke. Bethanne coaches the women's basketball team at Goldey Beacom, and Dan coaches the men's basketball team at Wilmington University. All right, go ahead there, Legend. Take over.
Where were you born and raised?
And of course, the women. No, Bethanne first. The ladies.
Yeah, ladies
always
first.
So I was raised in Hamilton, New Jersey, which is right in the middle of South Jersey, kind of midway between Philadelphia and Atlantic City. And I went to St. Joseph's High School in Hamilton. So all within the town of Hamilton.
So I was born at Abington Hospital in Abington, Pennsylvania. And then I lived in Glenside until I was about 4. And then we relocated to Pottstown, Pennsylvania, which is where I grew up and was raised up through high school.
Where did you guys both go to college?
So we both attended Chestnut Hill College, which is actually in our league, in our division. I'm actually a year older than Dan. So I was at Chestnut Hill first, and then he came shortly a year after. We met there and we started dating, and the rest is history as far as our relationship. But we both played. I was on the women's team. And then you can talk about your experience a little bit.
Yeah, and I actually had the unique experience of going there as the first men's team in the history of the school. And then my senior year, we went from Division III to Division II in the CACC, which is where they are now. So it was pretty neat to be part of 2 kind of building experiences at Chestnut Hill.
What year was that, Dan, that you started at Chestnut Hill?
I went 2003. Yep. And then in 2007, 2008, or was it 2008? No, 2007, 2008, they went from D3 to D2.
What sports did you guys play growing up?
I was pretty involved in sports. Yeah, I was pretty involved in sports. I definitely always played basketball. I have 4 older brothers, and they played. My dad played. My grandfather, my aunt played, and then I also played softball. And then when I got into high school, I also did track and field and cross country in addition to basketball. So I was doing 3 sports while I was in high school.
So I started playing basketball when I was 6 years old and loved it instantly. My grandfather was a big basketball guy, and that was always something we did together. So it was something I loved very much. I played football through, Pee Wee kind of thing, and then tried baseball. But basketball was my love the whole time. My family tried to get me in other things, but I really wasn't interested. So I started just doing basketball when I was about 11 or 12.
One thing Stephen asked a lot of the athletes, which I just thought of asking the coaches, what made you guys pick Chestnut Hill from Hamilton and Pottstown? That's really not the school I thought you would guys pick.
Well, for me, it's a really funny story. I actually went and visited Chestnut Hill my junior year, just kind of getting a tour of a lot of Philadelphia colleges. I know I didn't want to go too far away. So Philadelphia was, within that range of distance. At first, I didn't like it. And then they started recruiting me my senior year. And then I went back and I liked it. So I definitely had a lot of growth there, maturity for sure. But I think it was just a combination of that campus feel where you're not in the city, but you're close to things, and then you're close to family. So the fact that you could get home in an hour and your family can come see your games, that was pretty important to me.
For me, I actually had some family relationships. My aunt went there. My great aunt was actually a sister at Chestnut Hill, sister of St. Joseph. And basketball wise, obviously I love Coach Bowser. We still have a relationship to this day. We're very close. So that had a lot to do with it. And I also thought it was a really good chance to be involved in a unique experience. Like I said, of being the first men's basketball team somewhere, and see that process from the ground up.
Yeah, it was funny because I went to a small college right down the street from Chestnut Hill. It was called Spring Garden College.
Mm.
And it was literally down the road from you. It was at Mermaid Lane, and then they moved to a campus on Germantown Avenue.
Oh, wow.
And Steven knows these guys from Colonel Doherty. A couple of them were the first class to play soccer there. They had a men's soccer team, and they started. God, I guess I think you were in high school at the time. So that was probably around the same time Dan went there.
Well, I think we had three, at least three guys from Doherty on that first men's team. We had Isaac Greer, we had Sean Bowling, and we had Mike McDonald.
Yeah,
And,
Mike,
that's Steven's buddy.
Yeah, Mike's the man.
We
He's doing a great job over at Wood.
Yeah, we interviewed Mike and his mom and dad. They were the other.
Cool.
Awesome.
That was the other couple.
Yeah, really neat.
There you go, Steve. How about that?
What do you guys do for jobs besides coaching?
So in addition to being head coach, I'm also an administrator in the athletic department. I'm the assistant athletic director and the senior women's administrator. So one of my main responsibilities is monitoring the academic progress for all of our student athletes. And then really just spearheading, overseeing the women's sports, submitting, applications for NCAA scholarships. There's a lot of things that I do throughout the year, but definitely makes it like for a full day with the administrative and the coaching, but it's definitely well worth it because I get experience with all the other athletes at Goldey Beacom, not just our team.
So I work at Wilmington in the career services office as a counselor. So I help students with their resumes and interviews and programming. And I also teach Sociology 101, some courses, a couple courses each year.
Wow. So that means you got your master's and all?
I do. I got my master's from Chestnut Hill. Yep. And both undergrad and master's from Chestnut Hill.
And Bethanne, you also?
I had my undergrad, obviously, from Chestnut Hill, and I have my master's from Cabrini.
Ah, another great school.
Definitely.
That's awesome. You guys, I think they're the first ones. I keep reminding him to always ask the coaches that. I said, because a lot of times people think that, these guys get paid like Mike Krzyzewski, where that's your full-time job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I said to Steven, a lot of these guys, they have to work full-time as an engineer or something, and then they do this part-time.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great point.
It's great though for you guys both being in that area, and then you go stay at the same place the whole day. That's great.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
Yeah, we are very lucky.
Did you always want to be a coach?
Definitely. My dad was a teacher and also a coach, and so since I was a little girl, I always wanted to be an educator. So I was one of those kids that was always playing school with my dolls and my friends and stuff like that. And I guess the dream job for me was to coach and teach in the same place, which I've really been fortunate to do. I started out at the high school level teaching and coaching, and then got into college while I was still teaching. And it wasn't until 2013 where I left teaching to come to Goldey Beacom, and I'm still in that role. Dan talked about he's part of the faculty at Wilmington. I'm the same at Goldey. I teach a class every spring in sports management. So I'm still teaching, but coaching is still in the essence of really teaching in the same idea. So for me, I always wanted to do that. And I'm just really lucky to be at the college level because that was really my ultimate goal.
So I think that beginning in high school, I think I realized I wanted to coach. I played for a very good coach in high school named Randy Reber. Learned a lot from him, and I really found an interest in it. And I've always been interested in the strategy of the game and game planning and scouting. I always just watched so much of the game growing up that I just always wanted to be around it. And coaching is the way to stay in it, for the rest of your life. So I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Did you always coach at the same school, at the same college?
Yeah, so I started out, I was really fortunate to get into coaching right away, right out of college at 22. So I started out at the high school level in Pennsylvania, and then I moved on I was there for 2 years as the head coach, and then I went to be an assistant at University of Pennsylvania, and I was able to still teach at that time. And then that led me to being assistant at Holy Family for 4 years. So I was really fortunate before I came to Goldey that I had spent 4 years prior to that in the conference. And I knew at that point, for me, I knew I was ready to leave teaching and go into the college ranks full time. And so when Goldey opened up, it was a really good opportunity in the location, and it was a really good situation. So
what high school did you coach at?
Council Rock South High School in Bucks
Nice.
County.
Oh yeah, yeah. Stephen.
So all along, I've been pretty much coaching all along the 95 quarter my whole career, pretty much.
So I began coaching at Chestnut Hill the year after I graduated. I was fortunate that a spot opened up on the staff, and Coach Balser gave me a chance to coach the summer league team leading into that year, and get to know some of the guys and get some experience. And he gave me a shot to start my career that next year. So I was there for 4 years, and then Bethann and I moved to New Jersey. So I coached at Camden County College for Lou Batista for 1 year. And then I got the job at Wilmington in 2014. So I coached at three different colleges in my career.
Nice.
Cool. Did you start? No.
Oh, where you already? They just asked that one. Answer.
Did
Do you want?
you want to take your career any further? And are you happy?
Or are you happy?
Are you happy with where you're at?
Yeah, I think that's a question that I'm sure we get a lot. I think being happy is all about, I think that can be defined differently per person. I think some people, they want to coach at a certain level. I believe personally that you want to do the best at where you are, and it's all about the student athletes and the relationships that you build. And for me, being able to not only reach our team, but also other teams on campus and having relationships with all athletes is pretty important. Being able to impact young people. So, for me, it's a good situation where we have that work-life balance. We're able to be close to our families, and we have a family, and we're able to do that. We also play in a conference. You can sleep in your own bed every night. And there's not a lot of college coaches that can say, they're going to go to an away game and then be home before 1 a.m. and be able to be at home. So we're really fortunate. I feel very fortunate to be in a league where we can do that and to be at a school that supports, all my endeavors personally. So.
Yeah, I think that I echo those statements because the people at Wilmington are amazing. Athletic director, all the way up to vice president to president. The people I work with, both in career services and in athletics. And I think the farther you get into coaching, the more you realize how important that is to have a great relationship and appreciate good people. And I think I was like a lot of coaches when I was younger. I started coaching at 23, and you think, well, I'm going to be here for 2 years and then move here and then move there. But the business really doesn't work like that. And it's important to just do the best job that you can and appreciate the people around you. So while you always make the best decisions for your family, so you never say never, but, I think we're both very, very happy where we are, and we could see ourselves being here for a long time.
Now you got to ask him the question you wanted to ask.
Oh,
What happened? Go ahead, ask him. What happens?
what happens when you guys play against each other? Do you root?
For your wife's team, or do you root for Wilmington girls against the Goldey beacom?
Yeah.
Well, I'm very selfish in that sense, like, because we always play first, and I don't mind that. I like having our game to be earlier too, but it allows us to get our game done. And if we win, I'm really happy. And I want both the programs to be successful, but if we win, I really don't care what happens in their game. We play 19 conference games, so there's 2 that they play against each other. 17 are against other teams. So there's 17 games for them to prove like how good both teams are and where they should be in the standings in the conference. So if we win, I'm really happy. You want both of them to be successful, but usually the games are very close and they're very competitive. And, it comes down to the last few minutes. So it's very exciting. And when Goldey and Wilmington play, the gym is packed at both facilities. There's a lot of local people that come out. So it's just a great atmosphere. So all in all, it's just a really good experience to watch. So I just kind of sit back and just kind of take it in.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Coach Hensley at Wilmington for the women's team, we have a great relationship, and I want to see them do well. And I know the women on their team, and I like all them and want to see them do well. But obviously, we have the relationship, Bethann and I, that we have. So, I just want everybody to just play their best and let the chips fall where they may.
So do your other coaches ask you guys to, like, hey, who's hurt on your wife's team, or who's hurt on your husband's team? No, they don't ask you that.
No, so this is actually something we're used to.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this in the conference for 6 years now, where we've both been head coaches. And before that, she was an assistant at Holy Family and I was an assistant at Chestnut Hill. So we had the same dynamic, even though we weren't head coaches. So this is kind of something we're used to, but everybody else is, isn't.
Yeah.
So we kind of have it down, I think.
Well,
yeah, I mean, there's like little things that I personally don't do. Like, I just don't, when our men's team's practicing, I don't walk through the gym just because, like, there's nothing I'm going to steal and tell anybody, but you never want to put the kids in especially if they're playing Wilmington before the scout.
That's a smart move. That's a smart move. You don't want to be confused.
Absolutely. When I was at Holy Family, it was the same thing. When the men were practicing, I just wouldn't walk through. If they were getting close to playing Chestnut Hill, it's the same thing. So there's no secrets that you can tell that you can't see from film or information. And, it's very interesting when people say things, though. It's definitely funny.
It's absolutely. I never came across this, and I played soccer, and I never came across it in my career. That's so funny. I see you guys have a daughter. Do you just have one child? Just one girl? That's it?
We do.
That just her?
We do. We're actually, we do, but we'll actually tell you some news. We're actually having another daughter. She's due March 25th. So
congratulations.
We have one and a second on the way.
That's awesome. Because I was going to say, you got to have another kid. So one can go to Wilmington and one can go to Goldey beacom.
Yeah, we'll let them choose, but if they split, that's fine.
That's so funny. Steve, ask him the question about the what coaches. Oh. That's on the next page, I think, Steve.
What was it?
The coaches who they looked up to. Remember? Did you have a coach right there?
Do you have a coach that you look up to as like a role model?
Yeah, I would say for me, I probably have 2 coaches. My college coach, who she's not coaching any longer, but she's from a really long coaching tree. Her name's Jackie DeMartelier, but her married name is Stiles, and she was my head coach at Chestnut Hill my last 2 years. So she had a really great impact on me. She was just she was young coach. She was intense. We were very successful with her. She really pushed us, and, you know, she taught us a lot of life lessons, you know, in the time that we had her. And her family, her mother is the head coach at North Penn, and her grandfather, last name was Algio. So he was the head coach at Lansdale Catholic for football. Her dad coached as well. So she came from a very long coaching trace. So she had a lot of insight. So definitely someone that I always look up to. And then obviously being at Holy Family for 4 years, Mark Miller, I was fortunate to be on his staff for 4 years. And now he's at USC Aiken down in South Carolina. And just a really classy guy, full of integrity, loyalty, and just I learned so much from him about how to run a program and how to be professional. And then just XNO stuff, definitely a lot of stuff from him as well. So those are definitely two people that I've worked with or played for that I look up to.
I would say the three head coaches that I've been exposed to. So my head coach in high school, Randy Reber, my head coach in college, Jesse Balser, and coach from Camden County College, Leo Batista. I admire those guys because I got to see them on a daily basis and appreciate what they do and how they approach things. In terms of, you know, other coaches and people that I don't know personally, I like to research a lot and take little things from them, whether it's X and O's from certain guys or culture stuff from other guys. So I don't know if I could identify one person that I might see on TV or don't know personally. But even guys that we coach against, there's so many good coaches in the CACC, and then coaches that we coach against in the out of conference. It's just really a lot of good coaches out there that you can take from.
How far have you traveled for a game or tournament?
So when I was at Holy Family, as far as in the NCAA tournament, we went to the Division II regional twice in 4 years. So I was really fortunate to get to the NCAA tournament as an assistant coach, and then even as a student athlete. My junior year, 05-06, we made the NCAA, or 04-05 actually, we made the NCAA tournament in Chestnut Hill. So I've been a part of teams where we made the NCAA tournament. And then as far as travel, distance-wise, I would say, you know, we're usually in the Northeast corridor, New England area. Like the furthest that we've traveled, maybe New England, New Hampshire. But we've been to the NCAA tournament, and, you know, for our team at Goldey, you know, that's something that we want to strive to get to, is to get further into postseason. So something that we definitely want to do.
The furthest that I've been is Anaheim, California. When I was at Chestnut Hill, forget the exact year, but we went out and played at the Disneyland preseason tournament in Anaheim, and it was a great experience. We went 2-1. We played University of California, San Diego. We played Dominican in California, and we beat Western Washington, who ended up winning the national championship that year in Division II. So it was a great experience. We were led by a Northeast Philly guy, Dan Comas, who played at Archbishop Wood, and it was a really good team that year, and it was fun to have that experience with those guys.
Bethanne, what year were you at Holy Family?
I was at Holy Family from 2009 to 2013. So those seasons, 09, 010 to 12, 13.
No, I'm just looking at the next question. Do you still get?
Do you still get nervous before a game or tournament?
Or just?
Before a game?
Or just like big games? Or just certain games?
Or
like
just
big
certain games?
I don't think I get nervous. I definitely have like a pregame routine that I do, that I try to do. I like to kind of be alone if I can. And at that point, I think for a coach, there's not much that you can do to change the game. You know, there's strategic things in the game, But if you haven't done it with your team at that point, game day, there's not much that you can do. So you really have to trust your players and trust the team. I think it's an excitement that you've worked really hard in practice to get to that point, and you're eager and excited to see them show, the team show what we all have been working towards. But I would say more excited than nervous for me.
I still get butterflies every game. It doesn't matter who we're playing or what's at stake. And I think that comes from wondering if you've done everything you can to have your team prepared. You always think, oh, should we have gone over this play? Or what about the guy off the bench that we didn't talk about enough? But I agree with what Bethanne said is once game day comes, your job as a coach is pretty much done. Then it's up to the players to execute the things that you practiced. But I do think that it's a good thing to have those butterflies and kind of nervous energy, because that means you still love it. I know Larry Brown, I think, he's a legend and he coached for decades, and he said there wasn't one game that he wasn't nervous about. So I think as long as you have that feeling and that excitement, that nervous energy, it means you still really, love what you're doing.
I had you out of watching both of you guys play Holy Family. Both teams, very good. Both teams.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You got that one already.
How does your current team look so far? And are they going to play the season, to have a season?
Yeah, it's a great question. Unfortunately, we have canceled our season because of COVID. So that's obviously not great news that you want to hear, but I do think, for us, with the student athlete safety in mind, it is the best decision. And the NCAA also granted, for Division I, II, and III, everyone is going to have their year of eligibility back. So I think that was a relief for our student athletes, and I'm sure yours as well, that they were going to have an additional year, even if they were going to play in 12 games or 0 games, they were still going to have their year. But we're excited because we have 12 girls on our team, but 6 are juniors. And we all know that upperclassmen, there's a certain feel with them that they really buy in and it's their team and they want to win. We're really lucky in a sense too that we don't have any seniors. Yes, senior leadership is great, but at the same time, we have our players for 2 more years and longer with our freshmen and our sophomores. So we are generally a younger team, but we do have a lot of experience in our junior class. So still really excited for next year. And I know that they're really eager to play. And I think that, when you're not able to play, it makes you appreciate a little bit more too. So when we get back, I know we'll be really, really excited to do that.
We're in the same boat. Unfortunately, our season did get canceled, so we won't be playing this year. So right now, we're just trying to make sure everybody stays in good spirits, stays academically in good shape, and stays connected and builds relationships with each other, because we do have 7 new guys to our program that we're really excited about, in addition to the guys that we have coming back. I know, Steve, you said that you've seen us play, so we've been one of the smaller teams in the CACC, but we definitely went a ways to improve that. We've made a point to get bigger in terms of strength, in terms of height and length, and we did that. And I think that we added some really good players, and the guys that we've had have gotten a lot better. So we were very excited to take the court this year, but it's not going to happen. So we just we're looking forward to next year. But we do like what we have. We're excited to coach the group.
Do you have any seniors on your team that are going to graduate? And
Yes, we have 2. We have one actually who's already in grad school because he graduated as a junior athletically. So he's going to be able to finish out his master's degree. And we have another who is finishing this year with his undergrad, and he will be able to start on his master's. So that's one of the other things we're trying to, accentuate the positives of the situation.
yeah, that's a good point.
You know, you can get more schooling, either start your master's or finish it, catch up on some credits maybe that you fell behind on as an undergrad. So, you know, we're trying to take the most positive, you know, most positive outlook we can on the situation.
Yeah, and I've been pumping up your school there, Goldey Beacom, because I ride by the 95 and I had a sign. They cut the tuition in half, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I said if any of my kids were still in college, I would have made them transfer immediately, unless they were getting a scholarship. Because
Yep.
you were the only school I seen that did that. There was a couple other schools that said they were giving like 10%, 20%. But when I seen the 50%, I was like, every time I went somewhere, I was like, your kid going to college? Make sure they go to check out Goldey Beacom.
Well, we appreciate that. It's just about $12,000 for tuition for the year. So very
We're
inexpensive.
still cheaper.
Yeah, that's what somebody was telling me. The coach, the men's coach from Holy Family soccer team, George, I'm very friendly with, and he goes, yeah. He said Wilmington is still cheaper, and I was like, get out of here. He said, yeah, because
A little
I was
bit.
like, oh, I forgot the old state schools.
Yeah, both schools are great options for people.
Yes.
And both schools, both soccer teams are very good. Both of them.
Yeah. That's all. That Steven, you know, he's the #1 basketball fan of Holy Family, though. He's got his own seat there. He's got the first seat on the first row.
Yep.
I forgot to mention Coach Haig. I admire Coach Haig. I forgot to say that for the previous question.
That's okay.
What
Do you
do you
look for?
look for in a recruit?
Good question. There's definitely a lot of great players out there, but I think, you know, in our program, we're looking for good people, people that are going to understand that being a student comes first, really focusing on their academics, and then someone who's going to make the right decisions, you know, when no one's watching. Like, who are they when no one's watching? Their character. And we have a very diverse team. We have players from all around the world. We have international players on our team. We currently have 3. And then we have players from all different backgrounds, different religions and cultures. So, you know, we like to be inclusive to any student that fits that model. And we're just looking for people that really want to be committed, and they're going to be competitive, and they're going to want to work hard too.
Pretty similar to Bethann's answer. We really try to look for the right fit athletically, academically, and socially. So we want to get people that fit our product. Okay, so on the court, the way we play, what we happen to be looking for in that class. Do we have your major? Because we want the people coming to play for us to be in the right positions for them, to set them up for the rest of their life. So we want a good fit both ways. And we also want people that want to be coached both X and O wise, but also off the court, because we try to get our young men to be prepared for life after college. So there's a saying I heard the other day is that you can come as you are, but you can't leave as you came. So we want people that want to come in and learn from myself and my great coaching staff off the court as much as they do on the court.
You asked them that already.
Do you keep in touch with your former players?
Absolutely. They're definitely people that, you know, we're going to know for the rest of our life. And most of them are getting older now. Some are over the age of 30. Some are married. Some are having children. Some are still playing. So it's really exciting to follow their career. And, you know, it's almost a friendship when they graduate. You're still in that coaching role, like a mentor role, but you know, you go to their weddings and you celebrate their successes, and you know, it's definitely not a 4-year and done situation when you come to our program. So just really exciting, and that's the most exciting part, I think, is to see them get into law school, or see them, you know, continuing to play or starting a family. Like, those are the successes that, you like to see, and you like to see them happy too.
Yeah, we keep in touch, whether it's a phone call, whether we have a group text with the alums that played for me. We have, an annual alumni game. Not this year, obviously, because of COVID, but in regular years, we have an alumni game that get former Wildcats together, not just that played for me, but also who played for the coaches that preceded me, to try to form that family atmosphere as much as possible. I'm someone who I always feel like I'm not doing enough. I want to talk to the alums all the time, but I also realize they have families of their own now and jobs and responsibilities. And like Bethann said, it's great to see them have kids and, progress professionally and personally. So that's one of the joys of coaching is, number one, keeping in touch, but number two, keeping tabs on your alums and seeing how they grow and how they mature.
Did any of them make it professional?
Yeah, I was able to coach as an assistant coach different players that played professionally, and some are still playing now. And then we've had a few players in our program currently that, they've gone on and they played in Europe, and then maybe like a year or two, and then now they're working professionally or they're in law school. So we've had that happen.
Yeah, we've actually had a good number of guys who played after college. We had, Neil Thompson played in Spain. Sam Sanders played in Mexico. Tyre Ponzo-Meek played in Germany. Nick Richards had an amazing year last year in England, where I think he made all league at the level that he played with the Reading Rockets. And I know Jermaine Head, who graduated last year, who, first team all league, led the league in scoring. He has an agent, but because of COVID, I think it's tough to get a spot now, which I'm sure a lot of guys are in. But I know once this thing clears up, he's going to be able to go and have a lot of opportunities.
Man, that's somebody I know. Best go over
Australia, yeah, a girl from Drexel we interviewed. She's to get the 5-year program, and her plan was the 5th year to go to do her school in Australia, and then she wanted to try to play professionally. So her goal still is, when she's going to graduate this May, and she's going to try to go, if it's all said and done, to give it a go in Australia for the women's league they have there.
That's great.
What is your daily
schedule
like
during the season
and your game
routine,
like ritual?
So during the season, we usually practice at a little different time than most people. We like 8 to 10:30 a.m. I know that's a really random time, but I find that our girls really like it for scheduling with class. So it's in the morning, they get up, they start their day with practice, they're able to get done, eat, go right to class and shower and all that stuff. And it also allows for them to get internships, and, if they have a job on campus, they're able to do that. So from a day to day, that's usually when we practice. If we have any other practices later in the day, maybe it's a lift at like 3:30 or 4:30. Game day, I would say we usually do some sort of shoot around, usually around like 10 a.m. Then they head to class, and, if it's a home game, they're getting on the floor about 2 hours to 90 minutes before. My pregame routine, I have certain spots that I like to go eat in around Goldey or in the Wilmington area. I try to rotate them. I think, if there's a spot that I ate at and we won, I might stick to that spot a little bit more. I really don't think any of that stuff matters. The superstition stuff just makes us feel like we're controlling the outcome, but we're really not. And then just trying to have some quiet time in my office, and then my assistants come in and we're talking strategy, even more strategy before the game. And at that point, you get to the game, as we said, and you just hope that you've done everything you can to get to that point to be successful. So
for me, the only two things that I do consistently on game day, or get a workout in at some point and get some coffee before the game. Besides that, I find it a little bit difficult to have a set routine. Number one, because working other jobs, like we talked about before, they don't really cater to your to your season and having a game. So there might be meetings and different things that come up. So it's tough to plan your whole day around just having a game. And then even, if you look at the CACC, sometimes you're playing a game where you have your own locker room. Sometimes you have to share with the other team's women. And out of conference games, you're playing by yourself, and there's no doubleheader. So it's a little tough to have a totally consistent routine. So those are the things that I try to focus on, just getting a workout and drinking some coffee.
Really simple.
What's your favorite thing to do in your free time together?
Together?
Together, yeah. When you guys,
Okay.
what he meant was like, we were talking about it and coming up with a good question. And I said, well, how about asking what they do when they're together and they're not like, practicing or playing or like that, like off season.
Yeah. I think just spending time together. I mean, we're really, really, really basic people, probably more on the boring side than most people would probably realize. I think right now we're not used to being home on a random Friday afternoon in the middle of basketball season. So this is whole new territory for us with being in COVID. So for us, just really spending some time together as a family, visiting each other's families, I would say. And even if it's just, we're going to take our daughter for a walk in our neighborhood, just stuff like that, really basic stuff, just really spending time together, I would say.
I would agree.
I'm sorry. How old is your daughter?
She's 3.
3.
It's a very fun age.
Yeah. Well, we have a granddaughter that's 3.5.
I know my goddaughter.
His goddaughter, my granddaughter. Sorry, Steve. Go ahead, Dan. What were you saying?
She takes up a lot of our time, so she really determines what we do.
True.
Sometimes we look at each other and we say, what did we do before she was born? We don't even remember.
Yeah.
I guess we would go to dinner sometimes, and like Bethanne said, we don't really have too many hobbies. It's more just laying low and enjoying time together.
So when was she before?
May 22nd.
Yeah, there you go. Our granddaughter's 11 days ahead of her. May 11th.
Yes.
So
Nice.
before. That is so
Nice.
funny. When I saw her picture, I said, "Man, she looks around the same age as Ellie." That is so funny.
It's a fun age.
Yeah, definitely a fun age.
Steve, ask him your famous question now.
Oh, if you could have dinner with 3 coaches, they could be dead or alive, who would they be and why?
And you're gonna have to pick 3 separate coaches because you can't go together.
Okay.
You want to? How about you go first?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go
Okay.
first.
So I do want to say that there are a whole lot of coaches that I would love to sit down with. Really anybody that at any level, because I like to talk to people and develop relationships and things like that. But if I had to pick 3, I think the first one would be Don Haskins, who coached Texas Western back in the 60s, because he was the first coach to integrate his team. So I would love to talk to him about, his mindset going into that, knowing that he would have a lot of pushback. So the courage that it took to do that at that time, and also the success he had with it. So I want to talk to him about that. Probably Steve Kerr, coach of the Golden State Warriors, because it just seems like he has such a good relationship with his players. It seems like he has a lot of talent, yes, but it seems like they all really buy into, to what he preaches. So I'll talk about that with him. And I think the final one would be Jay Wright, because the track of his career has, he had to rebuild Villanova, got him to the Final Four, and then they took a dip and they were, not real good for a couple of years. And then he rebuilt them again to where they are now, which is probably the best program in the country. at the moment. So I would like to talk to him about that whole process.
So yeah, I would agree with Dan. It's definitely a hard question. You almost think categories or levels, or, you know, I think we probably have our own category for, you know, different coaches that we want to meet with. But I would say right now, I would definitely say Doc Rivers. I'm a huge fan of his. I'm really happy the Sixers have hired him. I think that he's a really good leader and he builds really good relationships with his players. So just talking with him about that. Next would be Dawn Staley. You know, she was at Temple and then went to South Carolina and really built up their program. So there's a lot that you can learn from her in the sense of building a program and sustaining it. And then Kim Mulkey from Baylor, who won a national championship as a player, as an assistant coach, and as a head coach, has been very successful. So everything she pretty much touches is very successful. So you obviously would have a lot of questions for her too.
And thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you very much for spending
Thank you. Thanks for having us. It was fun.
your Black Friday, which we can't go out and buy stuff, so you might as well stay home, right, Steve?
That's right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
Great
thank you so much.
Great meeting you both, and good luck when your guys' seasons start next year.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Take
You guys
care.
have a
Thank
great
you.
one.
You
Appreciate
too.
it. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Mhm.